So, today we have a wonderful topic. It's a spiritually beneficial topic, much more than I think any of us realizes, is the ability to laugh, both with others and with God's joy, and also sometimes at ourselves, at the situation that God puts us in. God, it's not on and it won't ever be on. It's only for the sake of the recording, actually. That was one of the stories I was going to share today about God's wonderful sense of humor, which was that we're moving centers for those that came late, and we didn't quite realize it, but they've moved the speaker equipment to the new center, which means that it's up to me today to speak a little more loudly than usual for all of you, and this is only for the sake of the recording that this microphone is here. But it's okay, go ahead. It is quite entertaining. And actually it's best, really. Humor is best when we can laugh with others and when we can laugh at ourselves. Although also, on a more serious note, I noticed that Swamiji, there's a definite direction to how things go in all of his books. And in this book, Affirmations, the quality that comes before laughter is positive thinking. So last week, giving the Satsang in Noida, I was really thinking about positive thinking and realizing how much yogis have no idea how powerful their mind is, how powerful even their thoughts are. When the more of us that get together, the more powerful your thoughts become. When I used to live at our center in America, Ananda Village, I would notice that sometimes I might have a thought, even a joke. Oh, ha, 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 maybe this will happen. Be careful. Be careful what you say. That can happen. One time the monks and I were traveling in Kolkata. We were teaching there. And we were having a big kirtan at someone's house with food and lots of people. And at that time, they had told us, please don't play so many complicated English chants because it's difficult for some people to follow. So we started joking amongst ourselves. Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to play only the most difficult chants. Only desire my great enemy, so many words. Just having fun, just joking only. So we got to the kirtan, which was in a space almost this size, but more people were fitting. It was meant for 100 people, 150 people. So we get to the site, and there's nobody there. Nobody means nobody. I mean, it was us and the two people that invited us. And so we sat down and we thought, okay, what can we do? Well, we're here for a kirtan, so we better start with a kirtan. And the woman in the front row yells out, please play Desire My Great Enemy. We are sort of looking at each other. Okay, and we play Desire My Great Enemy. Then the next, oh, please play even the more complicated chant than that one. Suddenly the words that we had been joking about were coming true. We were sitting in that kirtan playing the most difficult chants, the most difficult words. And later the story ended up like most of the divine humor. The story ended with a happy ending, which was that so many people came to that kirtan they couldn't fit in the room, and everybody had a wonderful, wonderful time, and it was a beautiful event. But it made me really think about the power of thought, and I think it's something that yogis have to be aware of. Recently Swami Kriyanandaji has been telling this story about Yogananda when his most advanced disciple Oliver Black was there, and Yogananda said, "Come for a car ride," to Oliver Black. And he looked outside, and it was absolutely pouring rain, like the worst monsoon rain. And Oliver Black thought to himself, what? I mean, you can't see anything. Who goes for a car ride on a day like today? But if my guru wants me to go on a car ride, I'm happy to go. And so he started to walk to the door, and he walked out the front door, and not only was the rain completely gone, but the ground itself was dry. Even the car was dry. And Yogananda Ji smiled at Oliver Black and said, "It's for you, Oliver." Now, it makes you think. You know, we think everything on the material plane is quote unquote real. You know, we think it can't be changed. But with the power of his mind united to God's power, a master can change the dream. He knows in his consciousness that it's just a dream. All of us, we're still learning, you could say, that it's a dream. But he knows, and he can change any part of it that he wants with the power of his mind. Now, people might say, I can't do that. That's too far for me. Well, I can't do that either. But what I've seen is that we need to be very careful about the power of our thought. We really even can hurt other people, even with our thought. Ahimsa, you know, one of the very basic principles of the spiritual path, is also in thought. It's not just, you know, don't kill something. It's don't kill your friend's enthusiasm. Don't kill, you know, the smile on the person that you're talking to. It gets more and more subtle until you realize the power of your thought is much, much more than you ever would have believed. I want to share a story with you about thought and about prayer and about changing the world that happened to me when I first came on the spiritual path. I had something very, very difficult happen to me with one person. Actually, it was two people involved in the story, plus this one other person, and both of us had gone through the same thing. Somebody had done a very wrong thing to this other person and me. And it can't be denied. It was a wrong thing to do. But as I started on the spiritual path, I thought to myself, do I want to walk around holding this sense that this person did me something wrong? Or do I want inside to be free? No, I want to be free. So let me pray for this person, even though it had been years since that person and I had had contact. There was even no way I thought to contact this person. But I thought, doesn't matter. You know, inside, you can forgive somebody, you can love somebody without having to call them on the telephone. So I started praying for that person every day, just sending as much positive energy as I could. And it went on for a long time, many, many months. I was praying for this person every day, partially for myself to clear any bad feeling I had, but also really wanted to help that person. And time went by, and time went by, and time went by. And one day I got a phone call. And it was the person that I was praying for. And I just couldn't believe it. And oh, hi, how are you? What are you doing? He said, and this person was totally stubborn, the person who was the least likely to change, everybody would say. He says to me, I want you to know I did many wrong things to you. And I'm sorry. Okay. Divine Mother can change the whole picture, even people. But you have to put your right energy with God's power moving through you to change the things in your life. Another story, this is for everybody, but more for the devotees of India, of Ananda, India. Because the other day, I found myself in a situation which every Indian person sooner or later will face. The government office. It's a universal fact. I shouldn't just say India. It happens in America too. But America, they have it a little more ironed out than in India. But there I was in the office, and I was at the registration, the foreign registration office. I was the first person in the morning. I wanted to be, as Master said, awake and ready. I showed up. I had my book, because Lord knows there could be waiting. And when you're waiting, you want the Guru there to protect you. So I had the Guru with me in the form of his words, in the form of that book. And there I was. And I was the first person. I was at the counter. He helped me. And then he said, "Okay, you sit down." I said, "Okay." And so I sat down. And 1 hour went by. And 2 hours went by. But I was fine. I was happy. I was reading my book. About hour 2, a man came in and just let that man have it. I mean, he was screaming at the top of his lungs, "You told me to fill out this form," and on and on and on. I started feeling so bad for the man that was helping me. You know, that's his job. He has to be there every day of his life. People screaming at him. I just started praying for him because I was feeling, poor fellow. You know, God, fill him with your light. Fill him with your love. He has to be here all day long. You know, protect him, help him. And I started seeing in that moment, wait a minute, the divine is in that man, as much as me, as much as anybody in this room. Babaji's moving through that man. I started thinking, if Babaji wants, he can sign all the papers, you know? It's his dream. If he wants to sign the papers, he can sign the papers. If he doesn't want to sign the papers, that's his business, not my business. You know, I'm just here as his child. Whatever he wants, I want too. I started back into my book. The man came and offered me water. "Would you like something?" I said, "Sure." I took the water. There was many other foreigners in the office. And I realized he hadn't offered water to anybody else. And then he came to me and he said, "The reason your papers are taking so long is the server is down. You know, we can't process your paperwork. Server is down." And everybody was yelling at this man. I just looked at him with as much love as I could, and I just said, "Don't worry. Whenever it comes, that's when it's supposed to come." And he just was looking at me like something different is happening here. And so the time came for him to give me my papers back. And this was only the first step. I was really looking down the barrel, you could say, of a long and arduous paperwork process. And I was only on step 1. And when he handed me the papers, they were all finished. And I said to him, "Wait a minute. I'm only on step 1. I mean, more steps are there, right?" He said, "No. Ho gaya means it's done." And "No, it's done. Here are your papers." I said, "Oh, that's what it is, right? If you believe that Babaji is the one who's doing your papers, he can do whatever he wants. He can take all your papers and just, no problem, you're in. Or you can go through all those steps. It doesn't matter to him, actually. And in a certain way, it shouldn't matter to us. That is non-attachment. That is, people are more important than things. You know, when you see people suffering, how can you not put your heart out to them? That's God's grace. That's the blessing that's coming through all of us. That's the opportunity that we have to serve as channels for that light. God is desperately in need of people who will share His love. And when you open the door, He can come in. And when He comes in, everything on the outside can change. It's just like Sri Yukteswar said, make the right spiritual effort now. Everything in the future can change. God bless.